Every history book starts with the same story of humanity's origins. But what if the real story is buried in ancient myths, deep underground, and far from the light of day? We've all heard the legends of the Anunnaki, the gods who ruled with an iron fist, and the ant people, the saviors who sheltered us from catastrophe. Today, we're going to explore a hidden history that claims these two ancient myths are actually the same, and the truth might change everything you thought you knew about our past. On the high, windswept plateaus of Arizona, a people known as the Hopi have passed down a story for countless generations. It is a story not of gods from the heavens, but of a benevolent and powerful race that came from the depths of the earth itself. These were the ant people, and their legend is a testament to the idea that some of our greatest saviors live not above us, but beneath our very feet. According to the Hopi oral traditions, humanity has lived through 4 distinct worlds. The first world, a beautiful and perfect place, was destroyed by a cataclysmic fire. Those who were virtuous and pure were warned by a being of light to seek sanctuary. They were led underground into the depths of the earth, where they found a sanctuary unlike any other. They found the ant people. The ant people, known to the Hopi as the Anu Sinom, meaning ant-like people, were a wise and compassionate race. They took the survivors in and protected them from the fire raging above. They offered the Hopi not only shelter, but sustenance, generously sharing their food, which they stored in massive underground chambers. The Hopi legends say that their physical appearance was similar to ants: small bodies, large heads, and a distinct slender waist. But their wisdom was immense, and they taught the Hopi how to survive in a harsh new world. When the Hopi emerged from their sanctuary, the first world was gone. They had been saved, but their story with the ant people was not over. The second world was a different kind of challenge, a world eventually destroyed by ice. Once again, humanity was forced to seek refuge in the same subterranean world. Once again, the ant people welcomed them, offering shelter, warmth, and the guidance needed to survive the frozen apocalypse. The ant people's humility and kindness are a central pillar of the Hopi prophecy, a powerful symbol of protectors who did not demand worship or obedience, but offered sanctuary out of pure compassion. While the Hopi story is one of kindness and survival, there is another, more unsettling tale of beings who came to Earth, a story of powerful rulers, not compassionate protectors.
While the Hopi sought sanctuary from the compassionate ant people, a world away in the cradle of civilization, another story of powerful beings was being inscribed onto clay tablets. These were the Anunnaki, and their legend begins not with the promise of refuge, but with the authority of rulers. In ancient Mesopotamia, a vast pantheon of gods presided over the universe, but none were as influential or as powerful as the Anunnaki. The very name Anunnaki in Sumerian mythology means princely offspring, or offspring of An. An, the supreme sky god, was the head of the pantheon, a deity so powerful his name was also the word for heaven. The Anunnaki were the descendants of An and his consort, Ki, the goddess of the earth. They were considered the most powerful gods of both the heavens and the underworld, their primary function being to decree the fates of humanity. These were not simply characters in a story. They were the deities who, in the Mesopotamian worldview, shaped all of creation. Ancient texts like the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Enuma Elish portray the Anunnaki not as benevolent protectors, but as formidable figures who held the power of life and death. In some versions of these myths, they even played a direct role in the creation of humanity itself, fashioning us from clay or the blood of a slain god to serve the divine. They were the judges, the decision-makers, and the enforcers of the will of the heavens. In the story of the Great Flood, the Anunnaki, angry with humanity's increasing population and noise, decreed our destruction. Unlike the ant people who offered shelter, some of these gods chose to watch the chaos from their skyships, showing a detached and even cruel indifference to our fate.
The stories of the Anunnaki lived for millennia in academic obscurity, confined to the world of ancient historians and archaeologists. But in the 1970s, one controversial figure would bring them out of the ancient past and into a modern, far stranger narrative. That man was Zecharia Sitchin. A scholar of ancient texts, Sitchin claimed to have decoded a completely different story from the very same Sumerian tablets that historians had studied for a century. According to him, the Anunnaki were not gods at all, but a race of extraterrestrial beings. In his groundbreaking book, The 12th Planet, Sitchin presented a shocking theory that the Anunnaki came from a planet called Nibiru, a world in our solar system that he claims orbits the Sun on a massive 3,600-year elliptical path. According to Sitchin, around 450,000 years ago, these advanced human-like aliens arrived on Earth with a very specific purpose: to mine gold. They needed the precious metal to repair the deteriorating atmosphere of their own world. But the Anunnaki were not happy with their lot. The back-breaking labor in the African gold mines led to a mutiny. To solve the problem, Sitchin claimed, a brilliant scientist named Enki proposed a solution. They would create a new kind of worker. By combining their own Anunnaki DNA with the DNA of a primitive hominid already on Earth, they genetically engineered the first modern humans. We were, in this theory, a hybrid slave species, purpose-built to do the heavy labor for our alien creators. This theory, which sold millions of books, claimed to be a literal translation of the ancient texts. It was a spectacular narrative that offered a simple answer to the most complex questions of our origin, and it resonated with a world fascinated by the idea of ancient aliens. But as with all great mysteries, the truth is often far more complex. The core of this spectacular theory rests on Sitchin's controversial interpretations, and as scholars have pointed out, his translations of Sumerian cuneiform and his astronomical claims are not exactly accurate. This brings us to the most vital part of our story: the reality behind the myth. But as with all great mysteries, the truth is often far more complex than a simple narrative. Zecharia Sitchin's theory, while spectacular, is not accepted by any mainstream historian, archaeologist, or Sumerian scholar. The academic world is unanimous in its rejection of his work, and it all comes down to two simple but fundamental flaws: his translations and his science. Professional Sumerologists have painstakingly demonstrated that Sitchin's translations of ancient cuneiform texts are, to put it mildly, inaccurate. He cherry-picked phrases and words and interpreted them to fit the pre-existing narrative he had already created. For example, he claimed that the Sumerian phrase for Anunnaki meant "those who from heaven to earth came," a translation that does not exist in any reputable lexicon. In reality, as we mentioned earlier, the name simply means princely offspring, referring to the god's lineage. The very foundation of his theory, the planet Nibiru, is also a scientific non-starter. Sitchin's claim that a massive planet orbits our sun every 3,600 years is not supported by a single astronomical observation. A planet of that size and with that orbital path would have a massive gravitational pull, and we would have seen its effects on the orbits of the other planets in our solar system. The Sumerian word for Nibiru does not refer to a planet beyond Neptune, but to the planet Jupiter, or in some cases, to the god Marduk. Sitchin created the myth of Nibiru to fit his story, and in doing so, he disregarded a mountain of established astronomical and archaeological evidence. So while the myth of the Anunnaki as gold-mining extraterrestrials is a powerful and compelling story, it is a modern-day invention. It is a spectacular work of science fiction, but it is not history. With the debunking of this myth, we are left with a final, lingering question. If the Anunnaki of ancient Mesopotamia are not the extraterrestrials of modern conspiracy, could they be connected to the compassionate ant people of the Hopi legend? It's a connection that some theorists have made, and it's a stunning one to explore.
With the myth of the gold-mining Anunnaki aliens dismissed, we are left with a final, lingering question. If the gods of ancient Mesopotamia were not alien visitors, could they be connected to the compassionate ant people of the Hopi legend? It's a connection that some modern theorists have made, and it's a stunning one to explore. The core of this theory rests on a tantalizing linguistic parallel. In the Hopi language, the word for ant is Anu. This word is uncannily similar to the name of the supreme Sumerian sky god Anu, who, as we learned, was the progenitor of the entire Anunnaki pantheon. This linguistic coincidence led some to propose that the Hopi Anusinam, the ant people, are the same beings as the Sumerian Anunnaki, simply remembered in different cultures. This theory offers a new, far deeper explanation for our journey. The Anunnaki, the tyrannical rulers who came from the sky, and the ant people, the compassionate saviors who came from underground, are two sides of the same coin. This theory posits that the truth is a combination of both legends, an ancient race of powerful beings who descended to Earth. Some of them, perhaps a benevolent faction, took on the compassionate role of the ant people, offering sanctuary and aid to humanity. Others, corrupted by power and a desire for control, became the Anunnaki of the ancient tablets, demanding worship and creating us as their slaves. It is a powerful idea, a unified theory of human origin that reconciles two vastly different myths and provides a more complex picture of our ancient past. But just like the myth of the gold miners from Nibiru, this connection too is a product of modern speculation. There is no evidence in ancient texts or credible linguistic scholarship to suggest that the Hopi language and the Sumerian language are related. It is a compelling and elegant story, but it is a myth created in our own time to answer questions that still linger in the human imagination. And so, we return to where we began. We have explored the ancient myths and the modern conspiracies that have sprung from them. We have seen how two different cultures have told a similar story of a powerful, non-human race interacting with humanity. But we have also seen that for all the extraordinary claims and breathtaking theories, the truth of our ancient past remains a beautiful and complex mystery, written in the very stars we look to every night, and the oral traditions passed down through generations.
The myth of the gold-mining aliens has been dismissed, and with it, the sensational claim that the Anunnaki are extraterrestrial visitors. But the story of their connection to the compassionate ant people of the Hopi legend is still left lingering. Why does this linguistic parallel, this simple coincidence of a name, resonate so deeply? It's because these stories speak to something far more fundamental than alien biology or ancient history. They speak to the very human need for an origin story. Every culture on Earth, from the dawn of recorded time, has created an elaborate narrative to answer the most profound questions of our existence. Where do we come from? Why are we here?
And what is our purpose? These myths are a form of a cosmic map, a way to navigate a vast and often chaotic universe. They provide a sense of identity and belonging that is as vital to our survival as food or shelter. The stories of the Anunnaki and the Ant People are part of a universal narrative. On one hand, you have the powerful, authoritative creator who demands tribute and obedience, and on the other, you have a compassionate protector who offers salvation out of pure kindness. We are drawn to these archetypes because they represent the two extremes of our own experience, the powerful forces that control our lives and the benevolent figures who offer help and guidance. They speak to our deep-seated need to believe in something greater than ourselves, a hidden hand guiding our fate, or a wise guardian watching over us. The enduring power of these myths has very little to do with the existence of aliens and everything to do with the human psyche. They are a reflection of our hopes, our fears, and our eternal search for meaning. In our next section, we will delve deeper into the universal themes that these two myths share and why they pop up in so many cultures across the globe.
The fascinating parallel between the Anunnaki and the Ant People goes beyond a simple linguistic coincidence. It taps into a set of universal themes that have echoed through countless cultures for millennia. We are not just talking about two stories from two separate corners of the world. We are talking about a fundamental human narrative that appears again and again in our mythology, a story that seems to be woven into the very fabric of the human psyche. One of the most striking parallels is the flood myth. In the story of the Anunnaki, the gods grew weary of humanity's noise and decided to wipe them out with a massive flood. In the story of the Ant People, humanity was forced underground to escape the world-destroying deluge of ice. Similar flood myths exist in almost every major civilization on Earth, from the story of Noah in the Abrahamic religions to the tale of Manu in Hindu mythology. The story of a great deluge that cleanses the world is a universal narrative. Another powerful theme is the idea of a great creator from the heavens. The Anunnaki descended from the sky god Anu to shape the fates of humanity. In Greek mythology, the gods of Olympus came from the heavens to preside over the world. In the ancient Egyptian pantheon, the sun god Ra, the very first god, was believed to have created the world. Even in modern thought, we look to the cosmos for our origin story. These narratives speak to a deep-seated human need to believe that we were created for a reason, by a power greater than ourselves, a power that comes from the stars. And finally, both myths touch on the concept of a golden age followed by a downfall. The Hopi's first world was a beautiful, perfect place before it was destroyed by fire. The Mesopotamian pantheon was an ideal society before it was rocked by conflict, leading the Anunnaki to seek a new way of life that involved the creation of a human slave race. This theme of a fall from grace, of a lost innocence, is a fundamental part of the human experience. It is a story of a lost innocence, a world we long for but can never return to. These universal narratives prove that we are all, in a sense, speaking the same ancient language. They show us that our minds are wired to create these stories, to find meaning in a chaotic universe, and to explain our place in the cosmos. In the next part, we will explore why these myths still resonate so strongly with us today, and why we are so drawn to the idea of a hidden, secret history.
These universal narratives prove that we are all, in a sense, speaking the same ancient language. They show us that our minds are wired to create these stories, to find meaning in a chaotic universe, and to explain our place in the cosmos. But why, in our modern world of science and information,
are we still so drawn to the idea of a hidden history? Why do we continue to seek a grand narrative that lies just beneath the surface of what we're told? The answer, it turns out, is deeply psychological. Myths and conspiracy theories, particularly those about our ancient past, offer us a powerful sense of purpose and belonging. In a world that often feels random and out of control, the idea that there is a secret, hidden hand guiding our fate can be strangely comforting. It suggests that there is a grand design, a secret knowledge that, if we can just discover it, will make everything make sense. The myth of the Anunnaki as alien creators, for example, gives humanity a cosmic significance that goes beyond the random processes of evolution. We are not a happy accident. We are a divine purpose, created for a reason, even if that reason was to serve. This fascination with a hidden history also taps into a universal human desire for hidden knowledge. We are drawn to the idea that the ancient cultures knew something we don't, that they possessed a secret truth that has been lost to time. This belief gives us a feeling of being an explorer, a truth seeker on a grand journey, a feeling that is far more thrilling than simply accepting a dusty textbook. It is a rebellion against the mundane, a search for the magic that we feel has been lost in our modern world. The Anunnaki and the Ant People are more than just characters in a myth. They are powerful archetypes in our own minds, representing the benevolent and malevolent forces that shape our lives. They are the heroes and villains of a story that we tell ourselves to make sense of the world. In the next section, we will explore how these myths have influenced our modern society and our culture, from science fiction to our continued fascination with the stars.
The myths of the Anunnaki and the Ant People may have their origins in the distant past, but their power is very much a part of our modern world. These stories and the conspiracy theories that have sprung from them have had a profound and lasting impact on our culture, influencing everything from our entertainment to our very way of thinking about the cosmos. You can see the influence of these ideas everywhere in our modern society. The plot of the movie Prometheus is directly inspired by the ancient alien theory, where humanity is revealed to be the creation of advanced extraterrestrial beings. The popular video game series Mass Effect features a race of ancient cosmic architects who once came to Earth. The very concept of terraforming a planet, making it habitable for human life, is a modern-day scientific version of the Anunnaki's alleged project on Earth. This shows us that the themes of creation, intervention, and cosmic purpose are still deeply embedded in our collective imagination. Our scientific pursuit of extraterrestrial life is, in a sense, a continuation of this ancient quest. We use our powerful telescopes to search for biosignatures, hoping to find a chemical fingerprint that proves the existence of an alien intelligence. This is not so different from the ancient cultures who looked to the stars for a sign of their creators. Our ancestors had their gods, and we have our science, but both are driven by the same questions and the same hope. We are still a people in search of a hidden truth, a secret history, a cosmic purpose. And in that pursuit, we have seen that the myths and the facts are often intertwined. The search for a hidden truth is what keeps us going. In our final part, we will reflect on what this entire journey has shown us.
And so we return to where we began. We have journeyed through two separate worlds of mythology, from the compassionate protectors of the Hopi to the powerful rulers of ancient Sumer. We have seen how two different cultures, separated by continents and millennia, have told a similar story of a powerful, non-human race interacting with humanity. But we have also seen that for all the extraordinary claims and breathtaking theories,
the truth of our ancient past remains a beautiful and complex mystery, written in the oral traditions passed down through generations. The myth of the gold mining aliens is a fascinating story, but it is not history. It is a modern invention created to fill the gaps in our knowledge. But the enduring power of both the Anunnaki and the Ant People legends shows us something much more profound. It shows us our timeless human need for a grand origin story. It shows us that for thousands of years we have looked outside of ourselves for an explanation of who we are and where we came from. We are a species defined by our curiosity, our need for answers, and our endless search for a hidden truth. Perhaps the greatest mystery of all is not whether these beings existed, but why their stories still resonate with us so deeply today. They are a powerful mirror, reflecting our own questions about our place in the universe. And in the end, we can find a satisfying answer not in modern conspiracy, but in the enduring power of the original myth itself. For all the myths you've ever heard, this story has proven that some parts of our past are not a myth. Now,